we've been trying to do this podcast for a very, very, very long time.
Facts.
I'm super, super happy and blessed to have you on. So Raphael, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. Now there's so many different aspects we can hit up, right? So many unique things about you. But first of all, I just want you to give like a little introduction about yourself to the audience.
For sure. So, hey guys, Raphael here, born and raised in Toronto with Nigerian roots, real Scarborough man over here. Listen, I guess I'll give you a really quick brief, but went to Schulich School of Business, came here, wasn't exactly sure what to do at Schulich, but found consulting as a kind of viable career path. I heard that it, pays pretty well. And gives you a lot of good exit opportunities. And, through that, I really became a big networker. I think like when I talk about the story of my career, a lot of what it was making connections and making the right connections. I think I was never somebody who had like a crazy resume, crazy high GPA. That's not really my story. But I think the value of like human connection and meeting people is something that like you'll see along my journey. And through that, I was able to meet the right people at McKinsey and make those good connections, and from there was able to kind of get an opportunity to intern there. So interned there, spent the rest of the time at Schulich on different clubs. I was on the consulting club, I was on the Entrepreneurship club, I was on the Black Students Club, I was on the Sports Business Club. I tried a lot of different things here. Started my career at McKinsey, was a global AI ambassador there, so spent a lot of time teaching experts and teaching different partners how to use AI within their work. And also spent time doing a lot of due diligences and company transformations for like Fortune 500 companies as well. And from there, I decided, hey, I got to start my own thing. And that's where Budget Caddie came into play, where we're building a platform that essentially is helping young people merge their present day lifestyles with their long-term savings goals and finding a way to kind of merge the two, which is very difficult, as we know. But
100%.
Outside of that, I'm a man of faith. I am, very much into fitness. Very much into basketball. My family's a basketball family. Both of my brothers are playing basketball. My older brother's professional. My younger brother's in college. So that's kind of a little bit there on the personal side. But I'm an open book. I enjoy humor. I enjoy laughter, and
For sure. Excuse me, but I'm very, very excited. I've mentioned this already. This is the 50th episode of KKC Consulting.
5-0.
Yeah, so
That's a big deal.
My buddy like Aish, he told me like you need to bring on like a crazy guest. So I think I've ticked that checkbox.
Okay, all right.
But I want to go back, like all the way back to kind of the early life, the childhood. What kind of pushed you to sort of, because like let's be really honest, McKinsey, entrepreneurship, these are like top level stuff, right? Like it's not something that comes to you like that. What led you to having this sort of ambition from your early life? Was it your parents? I'll toss the mic to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had like really high expectations on me since like I was a kid. I think, my parents definitely noticed that, I had kind of a creative aspect of myself. Like I think overall, like creativity has really been the big driver of a lot of my early success, I want to say. My parents coming from a Nigerian home, like there's expectation that you're going to get really good grades, and you're going to be a doctor, and you're going to, excel at a lot of things. And, those were always pressures that I had. They were good pressures, though. They motivated me to like be, outstanding, honestly, in a lot of things I did. And that kind of just translated. So since I was in elementary school, had really high grades. When I got to high school, got really good grades as well. I think that's just how I grew up, right? There was just this standard of like discipline and excellence that was there. And, when you pair that with creativity, you're able to do a lot of things. I've always been pretty open when it comes to public speaking and things like that. Like I did plays and stuff when I was in elementary school. I did different like acting and I was always a presenter. So I was somebody who would like raise my hand. And I don't know where that came from, but I was just always somebody who was going to raise my hand. I would always sit at the front of the class. Like, I was a bit of a class clown too, but, the type of class clown that the grades were good enough to where the teacher wasn't going to kick you out of the class. So, that kind of translated into who I became as a person, was somebody who was like very conversational, very much, someone who's willing to meet new people and, that translated into me learning different opportunities, meeting the right people, getting connected, networking, and we'll talk a lot about networking, but that's, networking is everything,
Of
right?
course.
And I think I've always been a networker, honestly, from the beginning. And those motivations and that skill set kind of translated. But if I was to kind of sum up where this came from, it definitely was like my parents and just the way that they disciplined us as children.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, I feel I can reflect with myself a lot. Pakistani immigrants, right? We got the same doctor, engineer, lawyer options.
Right.
Had good grades all the way. High school, that's when I was really like, yo, do I really want to be an engineer?
Right.
Is it something I'm passionate about, or am I just doing it because, it's kind of... Doctor took way too long, lawyer took way too long. So I was like, all right,
the doctor takes too long. That was my thing about the doctor. It was like...
Even though I love biology. I love biology.
Me too.
But so then I decided engineering last second, actually.
Yeah.
With Schulich, it's a funny story. I had the screen open to select for Guelph Engineering. Clicked the button, it didn't work. I reloaded the page. My dad walks in. My dad's like, yo, sleep on it. Just decide on it tomorrow, right? I wake up the next day and I click Schulich.
Wow.
Like, it's a crazy, crazy story.
That's amazing, bro.
I'm very glad I'm here. I'm
very,
very glad I'm here. I'm glad that I'm doing business.
Yeah.
That I get to network with people. I love that aspect of it.
Yep.
Coming back from New York, you get to talk to really cool people, hang out with awesome mentors. I love the area of networking.
Yep.
But that kind of pushes me into kind of your school life now, right?
Okay.
You mentioned the clubs. You mentioned your ambitions, seeing your parents growing up. Talk to me about, getting used to that change. Number one, going from high school to uni. And then number two, where that kind of led you towards EY Consulting.
Right. Changing from high school to university it's definitely difficult. I think I had a unique situation to where my high school is a non-semestered school. I don't know if you know what that means, but basically we took all of the courses at once. So we didn't have there was no semesters in my high school.
Oh, it was like elementary.
Yeah, so you would take 8 courses like throughout the whole year.
Wow.
I think that prepared me pretty well for university because I was like, the workload wasn't a huge change because we just always had a big workload. And that's like the essence of that high school program, is to prepare you for university, the way the courses work. So that really helped me out a lot. But there's definitely a lot of transition when it comes to that. I think the hardest transition from high school to university is just getting friends. I think that's really the hardest thing. It's like I didn't have any people from my high school that came here. So it was all about making new friends. And I think when you're able to have that group, have that circle, that always makes high school a lot easier. So the hardest part was definitely, okay, let's establish a friend group pretty quickly. I got lucky to meet like some really cool people in my classes and stuff, and I'm pretty social, so I had that aspect. But that's really the thing. Like when you get here, if you can meet friends who can put you on, who can help you out with your homework, give you the assignment if you miss class, that community aspect is what really helps you thrive through university, in my opinion. Like I think if you try to do this thing on your own, that's really where it becomes difficult. Like the students that I find struggle the most are the ones that are like to themselves, trying to figure it out, study on their own. Like, why are you studying on their own if another dude who took the course last year has his whole like he got the entire encyclopedia on it? Like, why are you like doing that, right? So definitely my strategy was meet the right people, meet the smart people. I consider myself one of them as well, but collaborate in order to get the job done. And I think Schulich has really, they definitely recruit the right people. Like there's a lot of cool people that go to the school. When it comes to your second part about motivation to EY Consulting, honestly, it was really based off conversations. I met a guy so I joined the Sports Business Association. I was the first year rep for that when I got to Schulich. And the president of that club was going to Bain. So he was going to Bain and Company. And through him, he became a mentor to me just because I was the first year rep. He was the president. And he was just telling me like, dude, like consulting is like a way to go. Because I was explaining to him, I came into Schulich not exactly knowing what I want to do here. Like accounting was kind of like the black and white kind of thing everyone goes for, or finance or something like that. But I wasn't really sure. And consulting just seemed like something where they're like, hey, you're going to try different aspects and different flavors of all of these things. And that attracted me. So he put me on to that. And from there, he was like, the first thing you got to do is just talk to a bunch of people. So he introduced me to someone at Accenture, someone at Deloitte, and I started having those conversations. And what I realized is that, wow, like when you talk to these people at these companies, you actually get to know a lot more about the company, especially if you ask good questions, right? the problem with a lot of like young people, and this is, you know, to you young networkers, is people don't ask good questions. They just don't ask really good questions. And if you're able to get to know that person on a deeper level, you'll find out so much more. And that's when it really started clicking to me that, okay, you just got to keep networking and keep, you know, this person will put you on this person. It really, you know, they say network, and it really is a network. It's a web, right? It's a web of like connections going through all types of places. And that's kind of what led me to consulting. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's very cool. That's very cool. When you had those conversations, when you had those chats, what was kind of the deciding factor that, hey, you know, this person said this thing, this is why I like consulting? Was it perhaps exit ops, money, or something else?
Yeah, I mean, the money was definitely attractive. I wasn't super
caught up
on the money because I didn't really know that much about it coming in the first year. People said it pays well. That's what they said. I didn't know exact figures or numbers or stuff like that. But I think it was the fact that like the exit opportunities were definitely attractive, but I think it was just the fact that you get to explore different areas of business. I think that's really the selling point for me. The selling point was that you're going to go into consulting. Oh, you like marketing? You're going to be able to touch part of that. Oh, you like finance? You're going to be able to touch part of that. You like operations? You're going to be able to touch part of that. You know, you like data and analytics? You're going to be able to touch part of that. You like AI? You're going to be able to touch part of that. I think those things are very true, especially for like big consulting, like MBB level firms. You will get the opportunity. You know, I can't speak towards the other ones, but I know like where I worked, you will get the opportunity to try different things. And that is super attractive to somebody who's a little bit indecisive. And they say a lot of people who work at big consulting firms are just indecisive people who didn't exactly know what they wanted to do. And, you know, it's true. You know, if you don't know what to do and you want to try a lot of things at a place where you're going to learn at like a rapid pace, then, you know, consulting is definitely an area to start your career. So that's really what attracted me. Not more so the money, not more so the exit opportunities, but just the breadth of different things that I'd be able to try and learn.
No, fair enough. And I think that's a great answer. Like for me personally, if I was to reflect, I really like consulting just because, like you mentioned, it's so versatile.
Right.
I don't think I can stick to just one thing for the next like 20 years, right? Like for me, it's always like, oh, there's this thing, there's this thing, there's this thing.
Right.
Marketing, there's AI, there's et cetera, et cetera. Like there's so many different avenues, and I kind of want to touch on all of them rather than just master one. And I feel that with me, it's very similar to a video game where like you get to have all these abilities, you get to learn all these things, and then later on you become someone who can help other people with these different abilities. It's almost like a better version of GTA, just like a real life GTA, right?
Roblox kind of, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
So that's kind of my thinking with it, and I think it mirrors somewhat what you're mentioning as well about, you know, your ambition towards consulting.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about why consulting. I want to talk about you actually stepping into consulting. McKinsey is one of the top consulting firms on the planet. Talk to me about that process, going through it and just staying in McKinsey.
You know, I think just to get it out the way, there's a huge imposter syndrome that comes with joining one of these firms, right? You're working with people who are PhDs in AI. You're working with people who worked at the defense ministry. You're working with people who worked at NASA. You're working with tons of Harvard graduates, right?
A lot.
And you're like, whoa, like I just got out of university. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I think the number one thing to understand when you're going into consulting or when you're going into any new job is you want to be as dumb as possible. And what I really mean about that is you want to be very open with what you don't know. I think the problem with imposter syndrome is sometimes you can actually feed into the fact that you need to be someone you're not. And having success at a place where clearly you're not experienced, clearly there's people around you who have way more experience than you, embrace the bliss of not knowing things. When I think about, you know, I wasn't at the firm super long, but when I think about like when I had success at the firm, it was about me asking questions. It was about me being open with the fact that, hey, I don't really know about this. Like, can you teach me about this? It's about being able to, you know what you know and don't know what you don't know. And when you talk about stepping into consulting, that's really the key there is like, yeah, you don't know a lot, but I'm willing to learn. I think the willingness to learn is really what separates those who are going to be successful and not be successful, because you're not going into a big consulting firm and they're expecting you to be able to solve world hunger, right? Yeah. That's not something that's an expectation of you. They've hired you because they think that you're somebody who can solve problems pretty quickly and somebody who can learn pretty quickly. That's, you know, one of the biggest things is when you're doing case interviews, especially like live, they want to see your ability to like learn the case pretty quickly. I mean, like, we can talk interview process later, but I mean, it's a beast, right? And I think that learning and being able to quickly learn and openness to learning is really the aspect of transitioning into consulting that is the hardest part. From there, you get your bearings, right? You start to learn with any job. After a couple months, you start to get the hang of it. Consulting's kind of different because you do different projects, and when you do new projects, it's a whole new problem. But you still kind of get the rhythm of how things are done, you know, the McKinsey way or the consulting way, as people say. But, you know, to answer your question, I think that the hardest part about transitioning into consulting is definitely just getting over the fear of like not knowing that much things and working with such incredible people that you feel like, damn, like, do I belong here? And you do, you know, if you get through the process, then you definitely belong there. But it's just about, you know, embracing the things you don't know and being super eager to learn.
100%. Now talk to me about Global AI Ambassador. That's a crazy title. You know, I mean, big on you for achieving that title. But talk to me about what it means to, you know, explain a concept to someone who has your age times 2 worth of experience, right? Like, just talk to me through that process.
Yeah, you know, so the role was a unique role, right? I think what happened was AI was accelerating so fast, and like, we just had to upskill our firm, right? We had to upskill our firm, and based on that, they just, you know, created a team of people who would do that, and I just became one of the leaders of those teams, of like going out and really explaining to, you know, HR people, explaining to admin people, explaining to recruiters, explaining to different parts of the firm, you know, how do we leverage AI, right? And it became a really cool role. Because you get to kind of be at the forefront of innovation, which I think is really, really awesome and really cool. So that was kind of the role. What was the second part of your question? You're asking, so that was the role.
Explaining it to partners.
Right. So that's what you actually do, right? So that part of it, you know, I'm 23 at the time. I'm trying to explain to somebody who's like maybe like in their 40s or in their 50s that they should be using AI in this way. You know, there is a part of it where it's like, who's this young kid who's talking to me? But that's when I always relate. That's why we speak about facts, right? We don't speak about opinions. And I think facts have no age. Facts have no class. It's just a fact. And, you know, when you're talking to somebody who is a lot older than you, a lot more experienced than you, you have to know how to mirror people and talk in their language. That's 100% a thing. But you also have to just be very fact driven, right? It's like, you want to be able to send your clients emails faster. Here's an AI tool you can use in order for you to do that. And this is how you use it, and this is how it works. And, you know, there's no, when it comes to class ageism and things like that, like that has nothing to do with the fact that this tool can help you. And I think when you talk about consulting in general, you will have clients that are a lot older than you. You'll have clients that are a lot more experienced than you. But what you bring is a different perspective. What you bring are facts, right? You bring, you know, data-driven opinions. And I think when you look at the data and you always relate it to facts, not your opinion, not your like sole, you know, pure opinion, I think you can get buy-in from people. If they're an executive, if they're a CEO, if they, you know, see your opinion, they see the data, then there's no reason to not believe it. So when I was in that AI ambassador role, like, a lot about what we did was showing them like, hey, if you do this, you can, you know, 2x the speed of the time you do this, or you can save 5 hours a week, or you can save this much time a week. And I think show versus tell is a big part of AI as well. Like, there's a lot of older people who see AI as hype, and I can see why you would say that, because there's so many different applications. You have image models, voice models, productivity models. Like, there's AI in everything now. When you're explaining AI to someone who doesn't know about AI, you can't start with artificial intelligence being the hook. The hook is, what do you do on a daily basis, right? Tell me about your workflow. You wake up in the morning at 9 a.m. All right, how's your day look? Okay, I start my day with a coffee. I look at my email. I do this, I do that. Okay, wait, pause right there. So you look at your email. What if AI could summarize all your emails before you even look at them, and then just show you what are the most important ones based on, the keywords in there and everything. Let's start there. And I think when you approach the problem like that, when you approach it from a problem first perspective and not just AI, then you can actually help a lot of people out. And I think that's a big problem in our world right now is everyone's talking AI. You don't need to know every AI tool. You don't need to use every AI tool. What is your goal that you want to accomplish? How can you fit AI to help you reach your goal? I think that's really where you can start to resonate with people. And in that role, that was a big part of it. It was like, what is the use case, right? What is the use case for this person's particular problem? Not exactly, how can AI help you? AI can help me fold my clothes at some point. Maybe that's not what I need it for. So I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit. But like, that's kind of the role and what I did and how you kind of communicate with those kind of people.
No, 100%. I think the idea of being able to convey certain messages to different people is such a powerful tool.
Right. Yeah.
The idea of starting with a question first, getting input from them straight off the bat, rather than just slapping like an AI sticker on everything, right?
Right.
I think that skill is very, very important when it comes to presenting, when it comes to podcasts, when it comes to consulting as well. I'm 19. I try to help out a few businesses here and there. Sometimes they think to themselves like, it's a 19-year-old. What does he know? Right. But it's the idea of like you mentioned, facts don't have ages. If I throw them a fact and I'm like, all right, you're missing 20% of your market, what are they supposed to say? Right? Oh no, you're wrong. You're too young.
Facts. Yeah.
So I think that approach is very, very smart. So good on you for that. Now, what I want to ask is, I'm gonna paint a story.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
You're at one of the top consulting firms on the planet. You're a global AI ambassador. You're speaking with some of the smartest human beings on the planet. Harvard, Yale, Oxford, a bunch of different schools around the world. What made you have that lifestyle and decide, you know what, I need to create something of my own?
Yeah, I think when you're around so much exceptional people, you get a lot of inspiration.
Yeah.
And you also start to realize your value as a person as well. I think I did really cool work. I think I created impact. And, I've always had entrepreneurship in the back of my head. Like, that's something I've always had in the back of my head. Exactly how to do it, I wasn't sure. But I think being motivated by so many smart people, it's like, there got to be people who are half as smart who are like starting their own companies, right? And I think that was a big motivator for me as well. And I think when you work in consulting, it's not that you don't execute, right? Like, we do execute. I've worked on transformational projects where I'm actually with the client and we're doing the work, like we're actually changing. But because the projects are so tight, right? You might be on a project for 8 months, but you might be on a project for 4 months. You might be on a project for 2 weeks. You're not always able to see things through. And that's something that, I always wanted to feel that, right? It's like coming up with an idea from the conception and then seeing it through all the way. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship. Like, if I'm thinking about like what I love about this, is the fact that like I can come up with an idea today, implement it in my app within like a week. And now I see that. Yeah. And like, I see people's feedback on it and they're like, oh, this is really cool. I can talk to a user and they're like, hey, I wish I could see this on the app. 10 users tell me that, we're going to go do it, you know? And I think that's like one of the cool parts about it is just like the speed to execute, the speed to iterate, the speed to innovate is something that I thought was always really cool. And, I've always had the dream of working for myself, right? I think owning your own time is the ultimate freedom. It's not about money. And I think that's where people like make a misconception about it, about like, oh, like you're in entrepreneurship because you're trying to get super rich. Like, I like, not really. I'm in entrepreneurship because I think I want to be able to, one, create something for myself, create something for others that actually creates a real impact where I'm seeing people use a product and say, wow, like this helped my life. But then two, being able to own your own time is something that I think is just really incredible, right? Like being able to work from wherever you want, being able to, kind of own your own schedule. It doesn't mean you're not going to work, but owning your own schedule is very different than not owning it. And that ownership is always something that I've kind of craved.
100%.
So that's really one of the motivations to kind of do my own thing. And again, right, I was around so much inspiration, so many smart people who came from different walks of life, and getting their input, getting their intake, talking to different people, makes you realize like, there's so many capabilities in this world. And I think the least risky time to take a risk is now.
Yeah.
It'll only get riskier as you get older. It'll only get riskier as you get more responsibilities. And that mindset created urgency for me to say, hey, like this is the right time. I made the right moves to prepare myself for this and like so that I'd be fine. So that's I would say that sums it up, I would say.
No, fair. And I think you've talked about a lot of things, especially the idea of money's not everything, right? And some people would ask me like, why consulting? And that idea, it's sure the money's there, cool, but I think the idea of just being surrounded by other people, right, just learning things at such a fast pace, doing so many different things, right? The multitasking, the way it prepares you for the future, and doing all of that not at like 40, 50, 30, at like 21, right? Like that's irreplaceable. And I think it's very similar. It mirrors entrepreneurship in that aspect, where now you're leading teams, you're talking to people. It's so interesting in entrepreneurship, where it's one of those things where you can be a leader and a follower at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Right? And it's so crazy to think about. Like I don't think there's any other role where you're kind of both at the same
maybe
time.
CEO. Like I mean, CEO. It depends, right? I think leadership roles. Any leadership role, you have to be a follower, right? Because you need to have the pulse of your company. You need to have the pulse of your team. So, and not only that, you need to have the pulse of your customer. Right. So it's like you're following your customer, you're following your team, but you're also leading at the same time. And sometimes your customer doesn't even. Sometimes you follow your customer, but your customer sometimes doesn't even know what's best for them, right? Sometimes you have to create the magic that they didn't even know existed, right? Like. People didn't think they needed Uber. They just drove taxis. They were like, I'm fine. I don't need this. There wasn't someone saying, I need an Uber right now. Like that wasn't the case, right? Yeah. There wasn't anyone saying, I need Uber Eats right now, right? There was already delivery services from restaurants. Restaurants delivered food, right? But I think sometimes you have to create that magic too, which is why you also need to be a follower, because you need to be following, okay, what are these guys doing? How could they do it better, right? We're in a podcast room right now. What's a way that we can make the situation better, right? And I think that's where you may not be thinking, and you may not know immediately, like Ammar, like what exactly we could do. I may not know immediately what we could do, but that's why an entrepreneur comes in and says they analyze the situation from the outside in, and then they come in with a solution, which is what consulting is too, honestly, when you think about it. It's like you come in with an outside perspective of a situation that you're not even in, and you kind of formulate what the next step is. And that's why I'll say that consulting is actually, it does prepare you for entrepreneurship, because you're able to take an outside perspective on your own company. And I think that's something that's really important. I will look at our company and I will take myself completely outside of it and then look at the company. Right. The problem with entrepreneurs sometimes is that you get so lost in your company. And you're not able to like understand like what's really going on. And I think that's something that, when I think about, okay, is Budget Caddie going to be successful? I think so, because like, yes, not everything is working right now, but we acknowledge that, and we can look outside of ourselves and say, okay, this is not right, this is not right, this is all right, this is not right, and we can pivot accordingly. So I think that's really something that's really powerful about that.
Ferris, talk to me about Budget Caddie. Like, what is it? What was the problem you're trying to solve? Where did the idea really sprout from?
Well, listen, right there's a daily dilemma that young people, but not only young people, go through. I have all these future goals that I want. I want financial freedom. I want a house. I want a car. I want to get married one day. I want to have kids. All of these things take financial discipline.
A lot.
But then there's this other side of the rope, which is I want to go out with my friends. I want to go on trips. I want to impulse buy things on Amazon. I want to enjoy my life today. And that dilemma is just so real. There's 100 million people in North America who are dealing with this dilemma of, do I live for now or do I save for the future? And, upon really thinking about this problem, we realize there's no real good solution for it, right? There's either be super frugal and, budget on this spreadsheet and stick to it, or there's like be undisciplined financially and just like lot your money, right? Which is where a lot of us stand, which is where honestly I stood as well. So we're like, what's a solution where you can provide the clarity where someone can, yes, enjoy those life things, but then also save for the future? It's not always possible to do both, but what about having the clarity to understand where you are on both sides? And that's really where Budget Caddie came into existence. Was we created a platform that really helps you integrate your lifestyle into your budget so that you can still save for the future and enjoy your spending today. So what we really have is an AI platform that analyzes your spending patterns, analyzes the way you are as a spender, and then provides you a plan, a budgeting plan in order for you to actually reach your savings goals. But what's interesting about our platform is we use AI to proactively simulate your lifestyle to match your budget. So for example, you and I on Friday, we're going to go out on the town. We're going to have some fun.
Nice.
It's going to cost us about $100. I guarantee you haven't put that in your spreadsheet. I guarantee you haven't put that in your spreadsheet. What Budget Caddie does is you're able to actually go on the app and say, hey, me and Ammar are going out on Friday and we're going to spend $100. The app will then use AI to analyze your budget, your current standing, and tell you, okay, is that a good decision or is it a bad decision? But then two, how can you actually fit that into your budget? So our AI platform might tell you, okay, you and Ammar can go and do that, but for the next 2 weeks, you're probably going to have to cut down your spending in food for about 2 weeks. I agree with that. Okay, cool. Then our app will readjust your budget to give you more money to spend today for us to go out on Friday, and then still keep you on pace to save. So it's really this ultra clarity that you get where people are using our app as an event planner. They're saying, okay, my girlfriend's birthday's on Friday. My mom and dad's anniversary is in 2 weeks. I have to go and get an oil change in the next 3 weeks. These are things that you don't always put on your spreadsheet.
That's true.
Because this is life stuff. You don't know how life is going to hit you when you're organizing your Excel spreadsheet. And that's why we're anti-spreadsheet at Budget Caddie. Because it doesn't actually reflect your real life. So to be able to use this platform to then plan those things and have AI readjust your budget based on all these things happening, it gives users this clarity of like, okay, yeah, I know that I'm overspending in certain areas, but I understand the impact. And one of the biggest pain points for people is they just don't know how much they should be spending. They also don't know where their money's going, which is a big thing. Like, people just don't know where their money's going. 40% of Gen Z don't track money at all, but 60% of them regret purchases they make. So you're regretting the things you're buying, but you're not even tracking it, right? And I think one of the problem is tools today are just so restrictive. Like, go on your TD MySpend app, go on your BMO Insights app, and you tell me where your money's going. You probably aren't going to be able to actually decipher 100%, that. 100%. And those apps aren't built to actually help you because they want you to spend money, right? Your bank is not going to tell you, oh, like, don't spend money. That's how they make money. So, that's one of the issues with these apps. And that's why we kind of came up with Budget Caddie, is something that we can really create to help people save and splurge in a smarter way. And there's so many AI components we're adding to it as well. We have gamified challenges that kind of keep you on track. We have shopping features that allow you to get discounts and stuff. And, it's really going to become a platform that becomes a shopping companion. So you're going to use it as like your caddy, really your golf caddy when it comes to shopping and saving. So that's a little bit about the app.
No, fair enough. And I think it's a really cool idea. Like, I'll throw in a personal story. I was just in New York on the weekend. And oh my God, it's so easy to spend money.
Oh yeah.
Like, I didn't realize. I was going through the subway, tap on, tap off, tap on, tap off. Bro, that was $4 each time. $4, and if I took it
USDs too.
Exactly, right? So it's like, damn. And then the currency exchange, right? Like, because I didn't have an American card, and then that's just the subway. Let alone sightseeing, scams, food. I was trying to find $1.50 pizza everywhere. Right. And like, if you decide, like, one day, your boys are like, yo, I got a promotion, I got a job, I got an interview. Let's go spend. I'm not tracking that. Like, yesterday I was out at Osmos after like prayer. I'm not putting that in anywhere. Like, that's just like, it's problem for future Ammar. Right? So I really do resonate with this problem. And I think millions of other students, young professionals, just even older people can 100% resonate with it.
Like, I mean, like, if you could open up your phone and literally just talk to an app and be like, hey, I'm about to go with my friends, like, does this make sense in my budget? And get a response. I mean, like, that can really change the game. I think 100%. We're on the forefront of innovation right now. And what we've done is we've packaged this all in like a Duolingo simple UI. And that's really one of the big things of our company, is like building something that's going to be easy to use. When you think about budgeting today, you're thinking about charts. You're thinking about 100%. Pie graphs. You're thinking about all these weird, charts and all that stuff. We've tried to create something that is actually going to be easy to follow. And that's our ethos of, like, our philosophy is like simple. We're anti-graph. We're anti-spreadsheet. We're 100%. Very much like, how are the kids of the future going to budget their money? And I bet you it's not going to be on a complex spreadsheet.
100%.
So we're trying to get ahead of that curve.
I think even with me, right? my mom says this all the time. Like, salary I'm making, whatever money I'm making, does not direct the amount of, like, it doesn't reflect, the amount of spending that I'm doing, right?
Right.
A few days ago, you know Salt Bay, right?
Yeah.
We were at his restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Nusrat.
Y'all eating good, bro. y'all are eating good.
Yo, the problem is, right?
I had ground beef and rice yesterday.
Like, we were there. Food was awesome. It was
Right,
great. Cool.
yeah.
It was a very fun time.
Yeah.
But, like, the problem is a second-year student with a bunch of people in tech, sales, investment banking, consulting, entrepreneurship. You know, you sit at that table. To all of them, it's like, yeah, you know, it's another dinner. To you, it's like, all right, you know, we gotta calm down on spending the next few weeks, right?
42% of young people admitted to spending money that they maybe shouldn't have because of the social environment they were in.
Right.
That is a normal thing.
Yeah.
You're around, you know, folks who may not even be making more money than you, but just folks that are in a spending mood. It's contagious.
Right.
You're out with your friend at the mall. He just bought 3 pieces of clothing. Hey, I might grab one too. Yeah, no, seriously. And that's how it works. I literally last week, I went shopping with my girlfriend. She bought like 3 pairs of things. I was not planning on shopping at all, but I'm seeing her shop. I'm seeing her smile. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna pick up a sweater too. And that's really how it works, right? And that's why it's important to, that's why we think our app is really powerful, because, you know, we're gonna introduce community features soon.
Wow.
And that's gonna be really impressive, to where all those friends that you're with, let's all budget it together to make sure that, you know, it makes sense. But I totally resonate with what you're saying, because I feel that on a daily basis. Young people feel that on a daily basis.
No, definitely. And, you know, on behalf of young people, I want to thank you for creating this product, right?
You're welcome.
Like, it's genuinely, like, bro, me and my boys, we spend money on perhaps the stupidest things possible. Right? Like, I'm a very, I'll do this. I'll look at the cost afterwards and evaluate from there, rather than, like, you know, I'll budget in beforehand. But, you know, if there's a tool where I could just be like, yo, I'm eating out with my boys, just budget for the next 2 weeks. You know, it's like Jarvis a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
That's really what we're trying to get to and create.
Right? Like Jarvis, but for budgeting.
Yep.
That's a tough slogan.
Yep. Yeah. It's gonna be incredible. I'm super excited. Obviously, super hard work and stuff like that. But like, I think, you know, creating something that young people are gonna resonate is our ethos. Like, people have told us, hey, you know, why don't you make it for older people, or why don't you go B2B? And I think there is a B2B play. Definitely. 100% there's a B2B play. You know, I won't get too much into the secret sauce, but
sure.
I think our core is helping young people manage their money better.
Right.
Because the stats are showing that people who make over $100,000 a year, 50% of them live paycheck to paycheck.
Really?
50%. Oh, let me repeat that, right? People who make over $100,000 a year, 50% of them are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, tell me that's about income, or is that about spending habits? I mean, let's be honest here as well, right? The economy is not great, and once you take away the taxes, it's not 100,000, right?
Yeah.
You know, I know what it's like when they take the taxes. Trust me, it's not the same. So I understand that too. But a part of the reason why they're living paycheck to paycheck is the spending habits. Economy, I would say, is definitely the number one aspect for sure. If things were affordable and everything, then it is a consumer economy and people can spend a lot of money. But the second part is definitely spending habits, right? And I think being able to curb those is big. You can make as much money as possible, but lifestyle inflation is really what's going to mess you up. Definitely. Because, and I experienced that too. When I started going into consulting, I'm making, you know, over 6 figures. I'm feeling good about myself. I started going on better vacations. I started buying, you know, better clothes. I started doing all, and that's what people do. But the problem is people don't plan these things, right? And, you know, at the beginning of the month, you set up your spreadsheet. It's so neat. Oh, $500 on groceries, $500 on food, you know, $1,000 on going out and stuff like that. Dude, all it takes is one day at the club. You bought the whole club drinks for one round because you were just feeling good about yourself. That's $600 right there. Yeah. You know, what did your Excel sheet say about that? You know, and that's really the core problem here.
And you know, the other problem is, like, you do it afterwards. So it's not like you have your spreadsheet in memory, right? Like, if you're in the moment, you're like, yeah, you know, I got a bit here and there. Let me splurge a little bit. I deserve it. Yeah. And then afterwards, when you're like kind of logging in, oh shit, you know.
Yeah. That wasn't, you know.
Yeah. Right. So, you know, it's definitely an issue. Now, I want to ask, kind of our last segment in this podcast, right?
Yeah.
What are next steps for Budget Caddie, and what are next steps as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think, you know, for Budget Caddie, we are heavily investing into like product innovation here. I think That's one thing. But then the other thing is also like being able to really target our ICP. Like we're super early. We launched Budget Caddie January 15th. Wow. So that was when we launched it. So it's been about a month.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to really understand who is the customer, who is our main customer. You know, is it a nurse who's in her 20s? You know, is it a, you know, accountant who's 31 years old? Like we're really trying to hyper target who needs our platform. So a lot of what that is like talking to users, talking to people who converted, talking to people who didn't convert, talking to people who downloaded the app but then didn't sign up for the free trial, talking to people who signed up for the free trial and subscribed. Like, what are the dynamics about those people? What is different? What is the characteristics of those people? How can we build an avatar? And through that, it can help us target our customers and scale more. Because the problem is like, you know, you can't be thinking about scale if you don't know who exactly your customer is. Definitely. You're going to go spend money that doesn't make any sense. So I think next steps for us as Budget Caddie is definitely to keep really understanding who our community is, building our community, and really becoming the voice of authority in budgeting. I think that's one of my main focuses as an entrepreneur as well, is like, you know, building my personal brand to become a voice of authority in my niche, right? Like we are a money management platform. Yeah. So we need to become the money management go-to people, right? And I think that's a real goal for us. And me and my co-founder is like really becoming educators when it comes to personal finance, which we have all the expertise to do. We've done all the data. We've created the app, right? We've saved people a bunch of money who actually use the platform. So, you know, we're qualified to do that, but I think it's about really communicating that, you know, to wider audiences to really understand that and build that brand trust. So brand trust is going to be a big thing that we also want to build as well. For me personally, as an entrepreneur, I think, you know, this life is so chaotic, right? And it's so unorganized. And I think organizing it and figuring out the rhythm that works for me is going to be like a big thing for me. Like there's never going to be routine because you're in entrepreneurship. Like today, the priority might be this, but tomorrow there's a fire and the priority needs to be something else. But really creating like a type of like system that I can thrive in, because I think burnout is real. Right. And if you don't create systems that actually allow you to, you know, breathe, then you will eventually burn out. Right. And I think for me, it's like, how can I create the right system? Maybe it's the gym, right? Maybe it's hanging out with a particular group of friends that helps me wind down and calm down. But like, what are those things that I need to do in order for me to make this like super sustainable for myself? I think that's like a big focus for me personally when it comes to this. I'm not a veteran entrepreneur. Like I'm not, you know, I wasn't even a veteran consultant. You know, I was only there for like almost 3 years, but like learning like what works best, I think is like going to be key for me.
100%. No, but thank you very much. I think all the lessons, like I learned everything, like a lot of things, right? So I really do appreciate your time. As a final note, where can people find you? Where can people find Budget Caddie? For sure. So Raphael Nuga on all platforms. You can find me on LinkedIn, so Instagram, etc. Budget Caddie on LinkedIn is where you could find us. Instagram, Budget Caddie as well. TikTok, Budget Caddie. BUDGETCADDIE, like budget, and then caddy, like a golf caddy. So that's where you can find us. You can also send us an email at support@budgetcaddie.com. We'd love to talk to users. So we're actually looking for beta testers right now too. So to test some of our new cool AI features. So if you're someone who wants to get in the forefront of this, we'll do it. We're hiring interns soon. You know, we actually have a lot of interest from interns. I didn't think it would be this much. I'm not sure why they want to work for me. I don't know why, but we're going to be hiring some interns soon as well. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's sick. No, but thank you so much. Yes, sir. It was a blessing to have you on. Hey, thank you for having me, man. It's been good. Of course. Awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. Take care.